But today, I'm the greatest of all time. Thank you.
Never stop, I'll get it if I want it. Gotta make to myself a promise. I won't quit, keep going till I got it. I won't give up till I'm on top.
Yo, no, I ain't the type to give up. If I do something, man, I do it till I get what I want. I turn a business out of nothing into something I love. I got a poker face, but honestly, I'm not one to bluff. I flip a switch, never miss, man, I always stay up. Don't let them see you always have a plan to stay tough. This life ahead of you ain't easy, it was built to be rough. But that's what makes a personality, is tragedy, bruh. So keep your head on your shoulders. Now we ain't out here moving rocks, we out here moving boulders. Now we ain't getting posterized, we out here making posters. And we ain't got nothing to hide, we move forward like soldiers. You better wake up for the pay stub, or you'll pay up. Don't make love to the game, bruh, fuck the game up. Change up, rearrange stuff to your greatness. Same us for the way up, play the game, bruh.
Never stop, I'll get it if I want it. Gotta make to myself a promise. I won't quit, keep going till I got it. I won't give up till I'm on top, yeah.
You know I'm always honest, there ain't no way I'll never stop it.
I won't quit, keep going till I got it. I won't give up till I'm on top,
I'm always flirting with pain, she like to hurt me and maim. I'm always working to change, but she's still lurking the same. I keep on building this dynasty while the haters be trying me, but they hate from inside.
All right, what's up, everyone? Welcome to another episode of Unscripted here, of course, on the Elite Sports and Entertainment Network. I'm your host and producer, Logan Landers. Joining me here today, as always, my co-host, Jay McLovin. Jay, how's it going, buddy? How you doing today?
I'm doing well, honestly. I'm doing well. The Dallas Mavericks aren't, but I'm doing
No. The Dallas Mavericks not doing very well. And, of course, that's what we're going to talk about here today. We're talking about the Mavericks. As we know, they're down 3-0, and no team has ever came back from 3-0. Can they be the first team to do it? We'll talk about it here in just a moment. Guys, if you enjoyed this episode, please be sure to like, follow, share, and subscribe on our social media platforms. See on the screen here, Facebook, X, TikTok, YouTube, and on Twitch. Also, go and check us out on LinkedIn as well, where you can come and be a part of the network if you want to. Go over there and send us a message, and we will respond as soon as we can. So, Jay, when I was thinking of titles for this show and whatnot, I could have went with, Game 3 recap, or I could have went with, the Celtics are rolling. But I don't think that's the real issue here.
Right.
I think we know what the real issue is. And there's a lot of issues right now that one team has that clearly the other team does not. So I want to look at this, Jay. I want to really take a deep dive into the debacle that was Game 3. When you look at Game 3, Jay, overall, pretty close score. But as we know, in the end, it was, of course, Boston Celtics getting the win. Final score in that game, Celtics going with a score of 106 and Dallas with 99. Now, fun fact here, Jay, I don't know if you've seen this, but in all three games of the finals, the Mavericks have been held to under 100 points.
Yeah.
Now, 15 years ago, that might not have been an issue. But oh, buddy, it's a problem now. Let's take a look at this team. Let's look at this unit, right? At what happened in Game 3 and why it fell apart, quite frankly. Well, when you look at this team in Dallas, of course, your eyes are immediately going to go to their top two players. That, of course, being Kyrie Irving and Luka Doncic. Those are the main two guys who help get you to the promised land and who were supposed to hopefully get you a championship. Now, Jay, looking at Kyrie Irving, we know the first two games he didn't do very well. He struggled with a shooting slump. Well, Game 3, that wasn't the case. You can't really put it on Kyrie because Kyrie Irving, in 45 minutes, mind you, played the whole game. 13 of 28 shooting, 35 points. That's an efficient day at work for me, and I can take that to the bank. You can pat him on the back, you can get him a towel, get him a Gatorade or whatever, and say, hey, Kyrie, job well done. You did a good job. But Jay, the real problem last night was the guy you see on the left-hand side of your screen, Luka Doncic. So, Jay, when you look at the stat line, Luka played 38 minutes, 27 points, ho-hum, right? 6 assists, 6 rebounds, 1 of 7 from the three-point line, which is definitely not like him. But I don't care about any of those, Jay. I really do not care about any of those at this moment. Because I'm going to go all the way over to the stat lines. I'm going to look under something called PF. Now, for those who don't follow basketball closely, that means personal fouls. And if you collect 6 of those, you are then kicked out of the game. You can't play anymore. You are done for. You have to go and sit on the bench. Well, Jay, Luka Doncic, the best player on the Mavericks, got 6 fouls last night. And not only did Luka get 6 fouls, he did it at a time that was probably the worst time he could do that. Because they were on a huge run. I think it was something like 20-2. And then he commits a foul in a way that he shouldn't have even tried it. So, with 4 minutes left in the game, 4 minutes, 12 seconds, he's trying to get a charge foul, which they don't really call a whole lot of. But, Jay, why would you even try that when, at the time, mind you, the score was 93-90? Your team has not won a game yet. You're at home, for God's sake. You're down by 3 points. You made a big comeback. You know you have 5 fouls. And also, I want to throw this in here too, Jay. He had 2 fouls committed in less than 1 minute. Why would you... If I am him, I am switching to anybody else on that court. Because what they've done this entire series, Jay, is they have exposed him as a traffic cone, I should say. Because guys are just walking around him. They are doing whatever they want to, and they are scoring efficiently whenever Luka's guarding them. So, how and why, if you're Jason Kidd, why would you have him in there guarding, I believe it was Jaylen Brown, and why would you tell him, hey, man, you might want to stop. You might want to just, play back a little bit. Have someone else come over and help you out on defense.
Mm-hmm.
You combine that, Jay, the 6 fouls, which is already just abysmal. And if anyone watched the game, Luka, look, we talk about Chris Paul, LeBron, guys like that who are known to be floppers in the league, right? Who try to get the call from the refs. Jay, I saw a clip this morning. In back-to-back possessions, he was trying to shoot a 3-point shot, and he fell. He fell. So you're trying to get a call from the refs, and yet when he doesn't get said call, Jay, you know what he does? He doesn't run. He doesn't try to get back on defense. No, he looks to the guys wearing the stripes. He goes over. He looks at the refs. He looks and says, hey, man, where's my call? An issue, mind you, that has been with him since he's came to the league. This isn't something new. This has been a known issue. He had a quote, Jay, in the presser after the game. A direct quote I'm reading here off of my X account. You can follow us at the Elite Sports Entertainment Network over there. In a quote from the account Awful Announcing, which great page. The quote says, we couldn't play physical. I don't know. I don't want to say nothing. 6 fouls in the NBA Finals. Come on, man. Got to be better than that. You're right, Jay. You got to be better than that. Not the officials. Look in the mirror.
Yeah.
If you're a Mavericks fan, it's infuriating because this is a game, Jay, that they should have and probably could have won had they had their best player, top scorer on the team. I mean, they ultimately outscored them in the fourth quarter, 29-21. But Jay, it don't mean nothing because with Luka fouling out with 4 minutes left in the game, it's one thing maybe if it's a minute or whatever, but 4 minutes, that's a lot of change there. That and the just lack of a bench outside of Derek Lively, who was the only one who did anything last night, Jay. And I'm not really exaggerating. Lively in 30 minutes put up a double-double, 13 rebounds, 11 points. Why is he not in there? Why is he not your starter at this moment over Daniel Gafford? I don't understand that. We saw how good he looked in the Western Conference Finals, for God's sake. Why wouldn't you put him in the starting role since he's been your best player on the bench? I would put him in there game 4 personally. But let's look at the other guys on the bench. Jay, Maxi Kleber, no points. Tim Hardaway Jr., no points. Jalen Green, 3 points. Dante Exum, 2 points. And Jaden Hardy, 0 points. Jay, their bench combined for a whopping 16 points, and one guy scored 11 of them. You aren't going to win a game, let alone a finals game, with that kind of just awful performance from your bench. Combine that with the fact that your top player got kicked out of the game because he just couldn't stop running his mouth and he couldn't stop committing fouls. And that is a recipe for being down 3-0 in a game that they should have won in front of their home fans. And it should be a 2-1 series instead of a 3-0 series, but that's the cards you're dealt with.
Right.
I'll get off my soapbox now, Jay. I'll get off my soapbox now because I know you have a lot to say about this team, about how things transpired last night. So I'll hand the ball over to you, much like the Dallas Mavericks did a good bit last night with their turnovers. What can this team do? What issues did you see last night? Was I looking at this all wrong?
Yeah, the only thing you could have done to salvage this series should have been done during the preseason, and that's teach Luka how to play defense. Straight up. Dude can't play defense to save his life. He can play offense. Oh, the dude's great on offense, but you put him on defense, and he is the absolute 100% liability. And I think last night was an example of just how much of a liability he actually really is. And you're putting this guy who can't play defense on Jaylen freaking Brown.
Who's been probably the hottest player on this Celtics team, arguably.
So I got to start off with this. I want to start this off. I got to give my props up to Mazzulla, man. The guy is just incredible. Look, where Udaka left off and the loss to the Golden State Warriors in those finals, Mazzulla had no problems picking it up and running with it. Not only did he run with it, he got this team on fire. The sad thing about it is the Dallas Mavericks should have taken advantage with having a lackless of Porzingis in the lineup. They had old man Horford out there who only got you like 5 rebounds and a couple of points on 3 of 5 shooting or 3 of 6 shooting. This would have been the time that they could have exploited, at home nonetheless, the Celtics team. Last night was probably the pivotal point that said to me, this team is done. They're done. Mm-hmm. If you can't beat them at home with them missing their big man, then you have no chance at this. And like you said, Luka fouls out with 6. And not only does he look, what really got my goat. Not only is he crying to the refs, but then he looks over at his team like, hey, why aren't you calling this foul? Now he's blaming his damn team. So not only is he blaming the refs, now he's blaming his team. He's blaming everybody but himself.
Yep.
I'm sorry, Luka. Until you take responsibility and advance your game beyond the offensive realm, this is your reality. And Kyrie Irving, as good as you are, you're stuck with it. I guess you might want to go over to the Lakers and maybe run with Braun. He'd have you back.
Oh, yeah.
Be alive, man. Yeah, like you said, and if you really look at it, what's really, really, really impressive is look how many minutes all their starters played, with the exception of Horford, who played 37 minutes. Look at the other guys. 42, 41, 45. Literally, their starters played every damn minute of the game. You got to go out there every minute of the game. Should be tired, should be depleted. You're out there putting all your bench players in there who are giving you bupkis with the exception of Lively, which, by the way, I think Lively is probably the best damn player on the team at this point. 15 rebounds. I mean, come on. The guy's out there giving you all your second chance points, and what? You can't score. You can't get above the 100 realm. What, 86, I think, was the first one, and then they got the 90s, the next two.
You can't crack a 100.
You know, I mean, it's just Tim Hardaway's not giving you anything.
Nope.
You know, I just couldn't believe, Logan, when I looked at the number of minutes that their whole team was out there on, and these dudes are subbing and getting fresh legs out there, and they still can't do a damn thing.
Yeah.
What are we talking about?
You
might as well just hang it up, man. Yeah, this series is cooked. Even if you give them a quote unquote, easy game 4, just to kind of make it a little bit fun, it's still going to be them, right?
No. And Jay, I found this clip this morning, and I have to play it. If it gets muted, you can find it everywhere. But I have to play this clip here. Give me just a moment, and we will get this here on the screen. So this is Brian Windhorst, a longtime NBA analyst, talking about the game last night, Jay. We'll give our thoughts on it here. Give me just a moment. We'll play
Luka and Kyrie combined for actually more than Tatum Brown did, but Luka fouls out late. I just wonder your reaction to that whole sequence.
I think this is perfect.
Yeah, I thought it was perfect that Luka fell onto the ground there in an unacceptable position to put himself in with 4 minutes left with 5 fouls, and then immediately looks at the bench and says, "You better bleeping challenge it," as if it's the bench's fault that he just made a terrible play. I'm standing here in the Mavericks tunnel. Over there is the Celtics tunnel. That's where the winners are. If Luka's ever going to be a winner coming out of this tunnel here, he is going to have to use what's happened in this finals as a learning experience. His defensive performance is unacceptable. He is a hole on the court. The Celtics are attacking him. They are ahead in this series because they've attacked him defensively. And you've got a situation here where Luka is complaining about the officiating. They have begged him. They have talked with him. They have pleaded with him. He is costing his team because of how he treats the officials. He's a brilliant player. He does so many things well. They are here because of how he did. His performance in this game is unacceptable, and the reason why the Mavericks are not going to win. He's got to get over this. And the fact that he came out after the game and blamed the officials showed me he's nowhere close yet. So maybe over the summer, somebody will get to him because nobody with the Mavericks or anybody else in his life has. And that's where the Mavericks are at this point. They're never going to get to this tunnel with the trophy if he doesn't improve those aspects of his game.
Jay McLovin.
That's exactly what I just said.
Yep.
I mean, he used different words, but I mean, the point is Luka's crying. He's crying to the refs. He's crying to his team. He's crying to everybody except looking within him and knowing that, like he said, you ain't never going to get to the winner's tunnel if you don't fix your attitude and the way you approach the game. And by the way, Luka, you know why LeBron is so damn successful? Because he has a relationship with the referee. Why do you think he gets all those calls? Because he has a relationship with the referee. You don't go out there and criticize the one guy that can make a decision during a game. That's just ridiculous.
And as well as he's came into the NBA, right? As good as he's been, he's still got a lot to learn, Jay. Like you said. And I look at LeBron and Chris Paul because those are the main two culprits, I would say, that I can immediately think of, who talk with officials after plays a lot, right? Jay, those guys have been in the league for 15, 20 years. Those guys are both going to be Hall of Famers. Those guys are also, let's not forget, they've done work with the players' reps. They've probably had countless conversations with a multitude of referees. I don't know that about Luka. I don't know if he has. I don't believe so. But what's the one issue that we hear with Chris Paul, we hear with LeBron, right? Oh, they always talk to the refs. Look, as much as I don't like it, Jay, they've earned it because they're gonna be getting statues made of them one day. They're gonna be going to the Hall of Fame. You can say whatever. Michael Jordan, all the greats did it, but you gotta get there first. In 10 years. Okay, yeah, sure, Luka can probably do this and get away with it maybe, or maybe not get some calls against or for him or against him. But when you're a handful of years into this league, you've done great. It's your first ever finals appearance also. You got to build that respect between the refs and you.
Right.
And this
and
Jay,
thing, though, like
go
Jordan,
ahead.
but when Jordan didn't do it very often. Really.
Right.
Jordan really didn't do it very often. But when he did it, just like LeBron, when he did it, he
Yep.
did it with honey. When Luka does it, he does it with vinegar.
No, that's a
You know what
point.
I'm
That's a
saying?
good point. And I just want to say this too. Jason Kidd is being outcoached 1,000% by Missoula. Jason Kidd isn't a newbie when it comes to coaching.
Right.
Jason Kidd's been on a lot of good teams, both as a player, obviously, and as a coach. We know, he was with Milwaukee for a little while. He was, I believe, with the Lakers for a little bit also. But this comes down, Jay, to how can he rally his team? To me, it looks like the team's just, I don't know if giving up is the right word, because they had that fight in them last night. But I feel like this has really made a 180 in terms of how this team, how this rest of the series is going to go. Because, Jay, they should have won that game last. They were in a prime position to win. You told me you go on, I believe it was a 20-2 run with 4 minutes, which is plenty of time in the league, to get a lead at home, to get into the series and make it of a fighting chance. And now, Jay, they are statistically at the worst possible scenario you could have. A team has never, in I think it was 300-plus series, came back 3-0. And I know Lucas said, hey, it's not over yet. That might,
Right.
You might get one, maybe two if you're feeling it. But, Jay, if they get this next one, Game 4 is going to be in Dallas. But then the scary part, Jay, we go back to Boston. And my God, those fans are not going to shut up the entire day. They are going to be heckling everyone on Dallas because they haven't had a championship in 15 years. And by God, they want one. And
absolutely.
You got to do something. But my point, back to Dallas, Jason Kidd, what are you going to do? How are you going to fix this team? Forget, forget Luka and his antics. I'm sure he's tried, but there's nothing that he can do because ultimately Jason Kidd's not out on the court. I'm sure you've told this dude countless times across multiple seasons, hey, man, quit talking to the refs. And we see it, Jay. We've seen it when he's on point. He's great. That's the most just frustrating thing. When he is getting fouls called against him and he doesn't say anything, he does great. He locks in. But when he isn't, we saw what happened last night. Joe Mazzulla, as just coaching, is putting on a masterclass because he's telling everyone on that team, Jay, you see that guy with number 77? Put an X on. Put an X on his chest. Go after him. And, Jay, I can guarantee in Game 4, we're going to see that maybe even doubled because they know Luka's hot right now. Not in terms of his play is fine, but I meant more so his temper. He's wanting to come back. He's wanting to come out and forget everything from Game 3 and have a good Game 4. But, Jay, what if they start getting fouls on Luka? What if they get 3 quick fouls in the first quarter or two on this guy? Is that going to affect his game? But that's the thing about Dallas and why I think ultimately they are not going to win this series is, okay, if Luka has a bad performance like we saw, I'm going to say a bad performance, but if Luka isn't on the game that we know, Kyrie's going to have a solid performance, right? We saw that last night. Kyrie was the best player in the court for Dallas. Who the hell else is going to be there? Derek Lively. That is the only one who has really done much of anything this series. And no one else has. I mean, you could replace these guys, Jay, with us, for God's sake, with as much production as they're getting. Their bench is shallow. And Jay, Boston is down you could say their third best player in Porzingis, who's basically been banged up. I mean, he hasn't played much at all because of that insane injury I'm not even going to try and pronounce. But they are just steamrolling this team. It might not look like it in the box sheets, in the stats, but this is a team, Jay, who, yes, we said coming into this series, it's been a cakewalk, right? It has been an easy performance. Getting up to this series, Jay, they've only suffered 2 losses. I mean, they won 4-1 against Miami. They won 4-1 against Cleveland. They swept the Indiana Pacers, and now they're one win away from sweeping the Dallas Mavericks. I think what we saw here, and what we're going to see when we reflect on this series, Boston was the best team in the East by far. Obviously, number 1 seed, steamrolled everyone in conference play leading up to the finals. Dallas maybe wasn't the best team coming out of the West, but they were the hottest team at the right time. Because
interesting. But you know what? Let me tell you. This is what really. I think this is a bigger microcosm that's going to come from this than just this loss in the playoffs. Right? They're going to lose the playoffs. I'll be honest with you. Luka. They don't have enough time to change Luka's mindset, and they don't have enough time to develop a defensive side to him. So because of that, and their lack of bench, which, by the way, you only made 7 shots. Yeah, the whole bench. Yeah, bench.
And one of them made like 75% of it. Yeah.
So number 1, Dallas. When I'm going into the offseason, if I'm Dallas, my first thing to do is have a sit-down conversation with Luka. Mm-hmm. And I'm having ownership in there. I'm having psychologists in there. I'm having coaches in there. And we're going to multi-hit this guy from all different sides. And if we can't get his attitude straight, if they can't get him a defensive presence installed over the offseason, then this team's not ever going to go anywhere. And Luka will never, ever be the MVP of this league until his attitude changes and he gets a defensive game plan, Logan. It's just never going to. And I'm going to tell you right now, if I'm every coach throughout this league that's going to have to play Dallas in the next upcoming season, I'm watching this series. And I'm like, yeah, that's how we get Luka out of the game. Just attack him. And then maybe say a few things to get him riled up. Because he'll foul himself out. That's what they're going to start doing. He's going to expose himself, and that if I'm any other team, I am literally going to attack Luka in all kinds of different ways and just expose his defense for what it really is, which is nothing, unless he can develop it over the offseason.
Which that's the thing we always say with defense, Jay. Offensively, some people have it, some people don't. Defense is something. Mostly, it's just effort. To be honest, it's effort. It's knowing where you need to be. And it's good footwork. Those are big 3 components there. Anyone can play good defense if they want to. Your offense is tremendous, top of the league. Defense, not so much. Jay, final question real quick here with about a minute left. Do the Boston Celtics sweep, or will Dallas get a win in Game 4?
You know, everything in me says it's going to be a sweep. Yeah. I don't look. Dallas, even at home, they have yet to, like you said, get over 100. And even without Porzingis, Boston has no problems getting over 105. So with that being said, yeah, absolutely. We thought this game was rough. Wait till you see Game 4 when all the pressure comes back. If Luka couldn't handle it in Games 3, 1, and 2, he damn sure ain't going to handle it in 4. So yeah, I expect to see almost a carbon copy of Games 1 through 3 and Game 4. And I do. I think it's going to be a sweep. Absolutely.
And Jay, I'll be with you, buddy. Boston, if you're there, get your brooms out, go down to the basement and grab them, because I think they're going to be dusting off getting some dust off of that Larry O'Brien and getting a championship back home in Beantown after quite some time. But we'll see what happens, though. in this NBA Finals. Jay McLevin, appreciate you as always for coming on the show. I'm your host and producer, Logan Landers. Guys, thanks so much for tuning in.